Enjoy the financial benefits of finding the perfect property to start your Airbnb business by knowing exactly what to look for. If you want to know exactly what to look for when finding your next or first Airbnb, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Hey everyone, my name is Jorge Contreras. I have built my Airbnb business to 6 figures a month, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to find the perfect property. Now, finding the perfect property to start your Airbnb business is very important, because if you don't, you could put all your savings, time, and energy to waste and have an Airbnb that's actually losing money every month. So here are some things that you should be looking for when starting and looking for your first Airbnb. Number one is I look for properties where there is a large population and a lot of tourism, for obvious reasons, right? Anywhere where there's a large population, a lot of tourism, there's gonna be a need, a demand for short-term rentals. For example, if you were hosting, let's say in Orlando, Florida, where there is a Disneyland, there's obviously going to be year-round demand. If you were looking to host maybe somewhere near the beach or a downtown where there's a conference center and there's concerts, conferences, business events, weddings year-round, guess what? There's a lot of hotels in the area, there's a lot of demand, a lot of tourism, and because of that, there is a large demand for short-term rentals. So I typically like to host in busy areas where I know there's a lot of demand and there's gonna be a lot of bookings year round. Here's another huge tip, and typically I like to look for properties that either have a pool or properties that are near the beach. I have found that in the areas where we are hosting right now, near the water, near the beach, it obviously brings a lot of people to these areas and there's a lot of demand. And if I'm unable to find a property near the beach, then I wanna make sure that I have a pool. Now, if you think about it, what percentage of Airbnbs actually have a pool? Now, I don't know the actual percentage, but I can tell you that it's a very small percentage of properties that have a pool compared to all the properties that are actually out there available. And so by having a property with a pool or near the beach, you're gonna be a part of that small percentage of Airbnbs that have a high demand. Now, in order to find a perfect property, you want to make sure that it is already in renovated condition, especially if you're subleasing, right? Because you don't want to sublease a property and then want to do renovations when you don't actually own it. So when you are subleasing a property, in order to find a perfect property, it must already be renovated and in great condition. Otherwise, you're going to have problems down the line. You're going to get negative reviews from your guests. So make sure that it's renovated and turnkey. In addition to that, the property must be in a great and safe neighborhood. So stay away from properties that are on the main street because again, they're not very safe when people are going in and out of the driveway. It's kind of loud from all the cars going by. So you want to be ideally in a safe, clean, and quiet neighborhood where your guests can actually have a great time. Now, there are some softwares out there that will actually allow you to look at the revenue and occupancy of existing Airbnbs in the area. You can check out Mashvisor, AirDNA, and there are many others out there. Now, this is super important because why would you want to launch a short-term rental in an area where you have not yet validated if it's actually a profitable area? So by using these softwares, you can look at the revenue and the occupancy of existing active short-term rentals right now, and you could even pull up how much revenue they brought in over the last 12 months. So let me give you an example. So imagine you're looking to rent out a 2-bedroom apartment in a particular area, and the rent's gonna be $1,500 a month. And when you look at these softwares, you see similar properties, just like that 2-bedroom apartment, that are already operating, and maybe they're bringing $3,000 to $4,500 a month. That is gonna validate that people with a similar property in bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, amenities, location are already having a great return on investment by being able to 2x or 3x what they are actually paying in rent. So make sure that you use these softwares or others out there to validate that it is a profitable area. So if you're ready to find properties like the ones I just talked about, make sure you hit that like button. Now, I want to talk about some things that you should absolutely stay away from when you're looking for your first Airbnb. And the first one, I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to elaborate and even give you a real example that I had. And this is staying away from properties that are not renovated. A few years ago, I started subleasing a property, and I actually never saw the property. I hired a team and launched it completely virtual. Now, even though this property was making like 3 to 4K a month of cash flow, I often had to make small refund adjustments because the property was very old and outdated, and the property owners actually didn't want to make any upgrades. So maybe 1 out of every 4 reservations, I had somebody that would complain, saying that it didn't look like this in the pictures and that they want a partial refund because it took away from their experience, or they feel like it wasn't sanitized, like it wasn't clean. And so again, if the property's already not renovated, you want to stay away from it. Now, if you're buying a property and maybe you have the capital, the finances to make renovations and improvements, then that is totally different, because by the time you finish, you're actually going to have even more equity in the property. But if you're going with the subleasing strategy where you're renting properties from property owners, getting permission in writing, this is what I'm referring to. That property should already be renovated, turnkey, and ready to go. Another thing that you want to stay away from is launching a short-term rental where there is a shared wall with another unit. Again, let me give you an example. A few years ago, I started renting, subleasing a triplex. It was a 3-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a studio. And it was basically one big building. And I launched all of them as short-term rentals. And what I found is that almost during every reservation, somebody would always complain about the other units making noise, especially the unit above, because it didn't have, much soundproofing. Obviously, when they built it, they never thought about people coming in and out and having different guests from all over the world. And so there was always complaints about the noise above. And when I compared these units with shared walls compared to my single family homes where it's just one unit and there are no other guests on the property, obviously I get a much better return on investment with the single family homes because there's no shared walls. They're willing to pay more money, and it was just a better experience overall. So again, avoid launching short-term rentals where the property is sharing a wall with another unit. Even if it's a long-term tenant, the other unit is not on Airbnb, you still want to avoid launching where there are shared walls. The last 3 things: avoid properties that don't have parking, avoid properties on a main street, and avoid properties near a train station or near train tracks. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, I want to continue to help you create passive income and financial freedom with Airbnb. Therefore, I have a free ebook that I want to gift you. Check it out in the description in the link down below. You will also find a ton of great videos here on my channel, so make sure you guys check out another one. And also don't forget to subscribe and turn that notification bell on. See you on the next one.